places you go, I think of it in the back of my mind. I think, is this going to be a home game or an away game? This is a home game. Thank goodness we have a lot more home games than away games in New Jersey right now. What a treat to be here. What a way to start. Whoa, what a way to start this week. And this is a big consequential week for our campaign. And there's no group I'd rather start it with than Planned Parenthood. So thank you so much for welcoming me so graciously. I don't know what happened to Corey. Is Corey back there? Corey, let's hear it for Corey and the entire Planned Parenthood team. Thank you, man. God bless you. One more time for Liliana Alcade, who has great courage and is in great health thanks to Planned Parenthood. Brittany Timberlake, you can open for me anytime. My goodness gracious, God bless you. And thank you for everything you do. No, that's not the subject of why we're here today, and I don't make news on bills that, hold on. Bob Russo, your car is double parked in the... Oh, sorry. I don't want to make news on a bill that has not come to my desk yet, or, after we need to vet bills, but this is not the subject of our gathering today. But Brittany has been extraordinary, period, but especially in housing matters. Because we have this state, we're coming out of this pandemic, there's no question about it, but the carnage is real. Over 26,000 losses of life. But go beyond that tragedy, the amount of folks who are in arrears on their rental payments, small landlords on the other side of that reality, suffering just as equally. Folks who are backed up on utility payments, on mortgage payments. There's an enormous amount of pain, and no one has been as dogged and has led more brilliantly than Brittany. So Brittany, thank you for that.
Brittany.
I wanted to just give a shout out to some folks, and I'm going to miss some people, so please don't be mad at me. Brendan Gill is here, dear friend, Commissioner of Essex County. Montclair's Mayor, Sean Spiller, is in the house. A great education advocate and leader. The aforementioned Bob Russo. Thank you, Ben. Whenever I go off for whatever reason, off theme, Bob sends me something that Bobby Kennedy said or something like that. Keeps me back on it. Rosalind Rogers Collins, board member. Fran Eric from CWA is in the house. Fran, Fran, don't be mad at me for wearing pink and not red today. Another great leader right beside you, Barry Kushner's in the house, IFPTE. Barry, you good?
All good.
Hetty Rosenstein is on our campaign, but she's a labor leader. I don't know where Hetty went. Larry Ham is in the house. Larry, I love you. And don't be mad at me. More importantly, Imani Ham is in the house. Aaron Chung, I saw Aaron. Where are you, Aaron? God bless you. Good to see you. Dean Gaffis is here from Maplewood. Dean, where are you, man? Love you, buddy. Love raising hell with you on Pride. Actually, it's still Pride Month. We got a couple more days to go. We can still do that. Phyllis Salo-Kay is in the house. Phyllis, love you and thank you for New Jersey Citizen Action. David Cummings, 4th Ward Councilman, Montclair. David, you here? Somewhere? Love you. There you are, David. I saw you earlier. And I'm sure others, and forgive me if I missed you. Marcia Marley, how could we forget Blue Wave? Kerry Chabat, Montclair Dems. Kerry, how are you, man? Can you hold up one of those beautiful Phil Murphys? Look at this. God bless you all. What a treat to be here. First of all, you never, one of my sons who plays soccer reminds me, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So let me be crystal clear. I am deeply humbled, and I accept the endorsement of Planned Parenthood for my re-election.
All right.
I don't want anyone to think that I just sort of took that one for granted. And as a general matter, I want you to know from moment one, we do not take anything for granted. We did not have an opponent in the primary, and we ran as though we were 10 points behind, and that led to the most votes ever cast for a gubernatorial candidate.
Right.
And there's a reason for that. People say to us all the time, people seem to like you, people seem to think you're doing a decent job, your numbers look good. And my response is, the political graveyard is filled with people, candidates running for re-election or the first time, who heard that, put their feet up and lost. Winston Churchill, for crying out loud, won World War II in May and 3 months later lost an election, right? So there's a lot of twists and turns still before us. In this crazy post-Trump America, the volatility in our race is extremely high. So while it may look good on the outside, the fact is there are, I never thought I'd quote Donald Rumsfeld, but there are, I should see someone about that, but remember that there are more unknown unknowns, and that is a reality right now. So with 100 and something days to go, this endorsement is a big deal. It's a big deal to me and my colleagues in the campaign as a political matter. Frankly, far more importantly, as a substantive matter, it is a big deal. Now, it's no accident the very first bill I signed was to restore funding to Planned Parenthood. By the way, I'm loving these Women for Murphy signs. I've not seen these before. I love this. Carrie, I love your sign. Don't get me wrong, but these are way cool. That's really cool. Thank you all. But that's the first, I know. I'm sorry. Unpark Russo's double parked car, and we'll get on with the show. But that was the first thing we did. And we did it, by the way, Brittany, with great legislators. So whether it was Loretta Weinberg, who stood by my side, you and so many other occasions, it does take a village. No matter how many good ideas any one of us might have, it takes a broad community. Look at this group of activists, of great union leaders, of folks across the spectrum of our state. But that allowed, Corey, tell me if I'm wrong, there were 6 centers that had been closed under Chris Christie. That allowed us to reopen for business. And as usual, the most vulnerable have been the ones most impacted, right? We know that. And invariably in communities of color. And by the way, Chris Christie knew exactly what he was doing. Claimed, remember Larry early on, claimed he could not find the money. Could not find the money as he was cutting taxes for the wealthy, rejecting millionaires tax, Bob, actually undoing the millionaires tax. Could not find the money. The money, Brittany or other legislators will correct me, it was like $8-point-something million a year. The budget I'm going to sign is 46-something billion. So this was all politics, right? This was in that orthodoxy. I'm going to come back to that in a second because he's not the only one who plays politics with women's health. And shame on him and shame on others. I'm incredibly proud of what Tammy Murphy and so many others have done with Nurture NJ to do all that we can to address and close the horrible inequities in and around mom and baby, maternal and infant mortality. Yeah. It is. That's, by the way, another reality, Corey, that we inherited when we came into office that is not entirely due to underfunding of Planned Parenthood, but partly due to that. New Jersey is in the bottom 5 states, was in the bottom 5 states in the nation as it relates to maternal and infant mortality rate. Overwhelmingly, moms and babies of color. I mean, the statistics of a black mom or a black baby and their likelihood of living through birth, or the baby living through the first year of her or his life, are shocking. And we're incredibly proud of everything Tammy has done, but not just Tammy, our entire, literally almost every cabinet member, great legislators, great advocates. Their objective is nothing less, as Corey mentioned, to make New Jersey the safest place in America to give birth and to raise a child, right? And secondly, to plant a flag. Think MD Anderson and cancer in Texas, you know what I'm talking about? To have that equivalent as it relates to maternal and infant mortality in New Jersey. To be the world location, ground zero, for the cutting edge research and advocacy and all the good that comes out of that. I'm proud to say as well that the budget that I will sign will put even more money into family planning, into women's health, and that's going to happen. That signing will happen. It will happen this week because it has to happen this week. And it will happen. And by the way, putting aside the usual noise you hear in the press about the budget, some of which, some of which, if not a lot of which, I respect, the substance of this budget is incredible. Yes. It is not, Brittany, am I right? It does not solve all of our problems. And in certain areas, if we could, would put even more money to work. But it addresses an enormous amount of the inequities as a state that we've been dealing with for far too long. And it does it in a fiscally responsible way. It does it making not only the all-time high pension payment, it's even higher than it was the last time I spoke to you. At long last, Fran and Barry and Hetty and others and I have spoken about this, the delinquency associated with just that topic of underfunding our pensions for our extraordinary workforce is just a black mark in the past 25 years of the history of our state. Irresponsibility. We did fix it. We said we're not kicking any more cans down the road, Barry.
Thank you.
We got it done. And we're going to keep getting it done. And I would say this, our work is not done. So you may say, well, listen, you've accomplished a lot. How come you're running again? And the answer is simple. We have accomplished a lot. We have started a lot of journeys. But our work is not done. And by the way, this is where I want to come back to that Christie era reality. It's not just a choice in this election on an absolute scale. How much did Murphy accomplish relative to what he said he would? What will he plan to do with another 4 years? But this is a comparison. We have to remember that elections are about a choice. Choice between who we are, not just me, but all of us, and who we're running against. So this guy is not pro-choice, folks.
I know.
He's pro-backward. He is pro-backward. Let me just tell you 3 things about this guy. Number one, when he was in the assembly, every single year he voted with Chris Christie to defund Planned Parenthood. That's a fact. Okay, that's number one. Number two, he has said if a Reproductive Freedom Act is accomplished, I want to come back to that as we conclude, I hope, Marcia, on a high C, he will undo that act. That's a fact. You said that. And thirdly, he has been extremely laudatory and complimentary toward Trump's Supreme Court. So those three are facts.
Yeah.
He defunded Planned Parenthood. He will undo a Reproductive Freedom Act. And he's in love with Trump's Supreme Court. My guess is there's not a lot of agreement with any of those 3 points at this point. Right? No way. So this is not just about forward versus backward, which it is about, but it's about both the work that is left to be done, not getting done, as well as the work that we have all done together already getting undone. Yep. So this choice is not just about who I am and who we are. It's about, wait a minute, what is the alternative? And the alternative is dire. I'll leave you with the Reproductive Freedom Act. We must get this done. Yes. We must accomplish this. I usually explain why to a group of folks where I know at least there's one person who does not understand why. My guess is there is not one person who does not understand why here, but I will still say it for the record. Kate's taping me, so I want to make sure that we say this for the record, because somebody will watch this who does not understand why. So we all know Roe v. Wade is a Supreme Court decision at the U.S. level that was made, thank God, and that the reproductive freedoms that women enjoy in New Jersey are entirely, not mostly, but entirely built on case law that has been established in New Jersey, all of which is based on Roe v. Wade. So there's nothing, Brittany, you can't find a law in New Jersey that protects a women's reproductive freedoms. It's all case law. And by the way, overwhelmingly for the good. Here's the problem. If Roe v. Wade, which is the foundation of that house, is impaired, or in fact is pulled out, all of the case law in New Jersey protecting women's reproductive freedoms falls like a house of cards. And by the way, that's not said in any please, God, keep praying for these folks in Florida. And for as much as I don't agree with almost anything Ron DeSantis says or does, I want you to know that we reached out within a day to offer any help we can to them to find these people. My God, please keep them in your prayers. But that's the reality, and I'm fearful, folks, that even good Democrats, men and women on the street, don't understand that that's the reality, that this could be like that. And there are others, again, good Democrats, who say, listen, we can afford to wait, because it hasn't happened yet. We cannot afford to wait, because when it happens, it will happen like that. So we must preempt this. My opponent not only does not want to put urgency into it, does not want this at all. He wants to defund Planned Parenthood yet again. He likes Trump's Supreme Court. There's an urgency here, folks. There's an urgency to get the Reproductive Freedom Act across the goal line, and I commit to you everything we can to get that done. And if I may say selfishly, there's an urgency to get yours truly reelected governor of the great state of New Jersey. Thank you all so much. God bless you. Thank you. Can we take a group shot or Jackie Burns? You bet. Are there pictures up here?
Yep. Come on up, Liliana.
Hey,